Hello, 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 and welcome to Something for the Weekend, your weekly dose of Jerry, what are you up to, man? We're trying to record a podcast here.
That's embarrassing. Just
What are you reading?
Property Professional.
Oh, look who's in Property Professional magazine. None other than our very own Jerry Lyons.
My best David Brent sort of face, that.
You know you've made it when you're sharing magazine space with Phil Spencer himself.
Mate of mine, Phil, quotes me. When I do a little talk, he quotes me afterwards.
We all quote you. How's your week been, Jezza?
It's fun, isn't it? I don't really know. It's gone so quick.
It's talking of quick. We can't have a podcast this week and not cover a little bit of politics. We discussed last week that we might have. I think when we did our podcast last week, I was telling you how Kwasi Kwarteng was going, and we were going to have a new chancellor, and we got one. And in the intervening period, it appears we're down a prime minister as well. You could not make it up.
Right. I always like to see the marketing lessons out of stuff like this, yeah. And one thing it showed me yesterday, there was a lot of guerrilla marketing, which basically, for those that don't know, guerrilla marketing is something's happened, we react really quickly. And some of it was brilliant. Oliver James done some great stuff. I saw Andy Overman did a good piece. Airbnb, brilliant. Like number 10, perfect for short stays. What?
Nailed it.
It's just nailed it. And you know what? I think normally I say to people, steer clear of politics. But this current incarnation of the Conservatives is such a joke. I know I've got mates that are sort of Conservative voters, even they're finding it farcical. So you'll get away with the guerrilla marketing, what happened yesterday. If you're doing it this time today, which will be around 12:30 when this goes out, you're a bit late.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that you either copy Oliver James as soon as he's done it, or you don't do it at all, because I think it needs to be the funny side of things is also wrapped up there in the shock of the event actually happening. I think as we now distance ourselves from that, we work out who the next leader is going to be. Vendors want to hear reassurance, I suppose, is the overall message.
Can we come to an agreement that you won't say vendors ever?
You see, I disagree with you on this. I think that you don't like the word vendors because it's got this oldie worldy sort of connotation to it. But for those of us who were brought up in kind of surveying backgrounds, it's been our vendor bread and butter.
Okay, so right, here's my point. If your market or your community or your audience uses that word, fine. Great power of language example that I came across yesterday. I was speaking to Agent X. No one knows who he is, and he's going to remain a mystery forever. And he told me about Paramount Lettings. Spencer. What's the guy's name? Spencer. What's Spencer's surname?
Spencer Tracy.
Spencer Lawrence. That's it. Bugging me yesterday. Brilliant letting agency. Unbelievable Google reviews. Fantastic. And apparently they don't call tenants. They call them residents.
Well, okay.
This is how we change perception by language. Language shapes perception because it's communication, yeah? So tenants become residents. Landlords become owners. I've got another example. Vendors become sellers. That's what I'd like to see. A friend of mine took over a failing pub that had loads of potential. And he said the problem that he noticed was the language the staff would use about punters. He said, the punters coming in, blah, blah, blah. And he said, they're not punters anymore. From now, they're guests. And he said, the whole attitude changed.
So it can alter your perception. And I think you've probably got a really good, I'm glad that I purposely used the word vendor to make you make this point. But this is a great point because I spend my day talking to agents. So I know when I say the word vendor, they instantly know who I'm talking about. End of story. Because that's my audience. Yeah. But if I'm talking to somebody that doesn't sell a house for maybe 20, 30 years, and it's the first time that they're thinking of choosing an agent, they don't know what a vendor is any more than but they know what a seller is. They know what a buyer is. They know what a customer and a client is. So I think we do need to be careful how we bamboozle people with everyday terminology that perhaps we understand, but they as novices are not going to get to grips with.
Exactly. I couldn't put it any better myself, David Mintz.
That's it. Mic drop moment for this podcast. We've delivered our message of the day. Let's carry on with the theme of community, though, and talking to people, because knowing what to say to sellers in this market and in the political climate is difficult. And I can tell you I've wrestled with it myself. And I think it's about gentle reassurance. It's about somebody that is providing the facts, but not trying to overcompensate and over reassure people, but just gently sort of try and guide them through at this moment. But whilst we can't perhaps have the answers to every question, there is one constant. Communities and charities need support now more than ever in terms of funding challenges, and also just the climate, just in terms of the number of people that are accessing vital support services. Your business is a really great textbook example of how you can run a business, still pay wages, make a profit, but stand for something as well and give back. So let's touch on that, and let's maybe expand a little bit on how agents can incorporate that into their messaging.
Sure. I think it's a very good point. Excuse me. So, like when I said to you today, it might be a good idea to talk about how agents can support their community. The idea behind it, when I messaged you, was from an agent contacted me yesterday or the day before, really struggling, right? Because he gets a lot, he's very generous in his community, but he gets so many people now coming to him that he's got to start turning away some people. Some of them like do ask for what I said to him. I think that's a bit much. One of them asked for 900 quid for one thing. That's a hell of an ask for just a donation, one-off donation. So what I suggested to him was, and I know some agents do this, set up a community fund where you will allocate, I don't know, X amount of money every month will be in your community pot, like we do with the Karma Club in our business, and then you distribute it to different causes locally. Now, that could be, for some agencies, 200 quid. For others, it might be £1,000. It depends on the size of the agency. So setting up a community fund, that keeps you on budget. And it also means that when somebody comes to you and says, oh, could you sponsor this month? If you've spent your community fund, you say, we'd love to, but unfortunately, we've allocated all our funds from the community fund this month. It's a nice way of saying we can't support you, but you know what? If you come back to us in 2 months' time when we haven't allocated that money, maybe the money's still on the table. And we're also getting to the time of year where people are thinking about what they're going to do next year in terms of community support and marketing. And remember, community support and marketing very closely linked. You know, there is a pay. There is a payoff, as our business has done very well out of it by doing the right thing. I believe, and I say it to our team, for us to do the right thing, we have to do the right thing for our clients, because we can't do good if the business isn't doing good, because there won't be no money in the kitty. So for agents thinking of a charity of the year, now's the time. Do you want some advice about how to choose a charity of the year, David Mintz? Whose birthday it was this week? Happy birthday. Was it this week or last week?
It was my birthday this week. And if you're asking me what I'd like for was it last week? It was Saturday. If you're asking me what I would like for my birthday present, I would like you to make donations to your charity of the year. But how do you pick a charity of the year? Tell us about that, Jerry.
You are smooth like a dolphin who's got alopecia. You are so smooth.
We ladies and gentlemen listening at home, that was, of course, said in jest. We do understand that dolphins can suffer from alopecia, and it's a terrible condition and an affliction. And if you or any dolphins you know have been affected by this, please reach out and let us know. And our thoughts and feelings are with you at this difficult time. Jerry, go ahead.
How do I follow on from that? That's very good. I tell you what, you were wasted. The comedy world lost out because you made the move to go with Simon
Well, let's get back on track then. So what I was asking you is, when you're looking at a charity to pin your flag to, how do you choose it? Because they're all worthy, aren't they? All charities, by definition, have got a unique focus. Yeah,
I disagree. I disagree. They're not all created equally, right? Because some are really well run and they squeeze every penny out of their donations they receive into supporting the people or the animals or the groups that they're trying to support. Yeah, we've done 2 charities of the year. First one, I'm not going to say who they were. I just felt I didn't know where the money was going, which worried me. We donated 150 quid a month to them, and I think they put the money in the right places. But what they could have done, and I did suggest it to them, is let us know exactly where that 150 quid, what it's being spent on. And if they'd come back to us and said it's being spent on XYZ, then we can go back to our clients and say, guess what? Because of you helping us, we've been able to help these guys, and they've been able to help somebody else. So
guys, I'm just going to interrupt Jerry there for a second, but this is a very important point. The legally, the law states that if you are raising money for a charity, only 5% of what you raise, or something ridiculously low like that, somewhere between 5 and 10%, needs to go to the charity. The rest of it can go on whatever they decide in terms of costs and so on. So you need to make sure, and my advice would be, find a charity that understands that more than 5% of that money needs to go to the people that it's intended for.
And you know how I think you do that in our experience is small local charities that you actually meet. You've probably heard of on the grapevine. So and so is doing great work. You have a meeting with them. Before you commit to giving them we spend about 1,800 quid, £2,000 a year on our charity of the year. But before you meet them, agree something. Say, right, we want to do an initial bit of PR to say we're supporting you this year, charity of the year. Are you up for that? They'll say yes, because they want your money, quite frankly. But also get it ongoing. Say, look, what can we do ongoing to make the most of both of this? Can we organise something where we raise a bit more money to help you guys on top of our monthly donation? And are you going to be supportive of that? The thing that I found with the charities we've worked with, they were great at taking the money. They're very good. They're very busy. As the agent or the donator, you have to be a bit proactive if you want them to do promotions on your behalf.
Yeah.
Pick local, definitely. Forget national charities. I'm sorry. It's just pointless, it seems.
Yeah, look, I think everybody has a charity that's close to their heart because of something that they themselves have experienced. But let's face it, our local communities need us right now. They need our support. And if you're likely to need the help of a charity yourself, it's likely to be distributed on a local level rather than a national. So let's remember that. And there are local institutions as well that need your support. There are schools that massively need bits of funding for equipment for the kids. It may be sports equipment. It may be what I'm trying to say is a charity. All these charities are not all the same. They have different facets to them, and picking one as an agent and picking that charity of the year is important, because if you do get the local aspect of it right, then what resonates with you resonates with your audience as well.
Yeah, 100%. I was just thinking there as well why you were saying that. I know in the past an agent, against our advice, had a charity of the year competition to vote for the charity of the year, but he left it open. So anyone, and in the end it was a charity. And I said, that don't sound like, we were discussing it. I said, to be honest, that doesn't sound a great use of the money, what they're suggesting, but they got the most votes. So if you are going to do something where you engage your community and say, right, we'd like to put it over to you, who should we support this year? Limit it to 3 charities that you put forward that you know are good. Don't make it open source, as it were.
Yeah.
And that way you'll know that, right, these are 3 charities we know are good and do good work in the local community. And they don't have to be charities. Like for next year, we give you an example. We've already committed to a sports team next year, a local girls' sports team, because my daughter's into girls' sports.
Yeah.
We're passionate about that. They're really good. I know every penny of that money is going because they bought a bit of equipment off the back of it. So that's us sorted for 2020.
And how do you recommend that you do it? Because as an agent, you're part of that community as well. So you could invite other people from members of the public, vendors, vendors, sellers, landlords, clients, customers, guests,
residents, sellers, guests.
I can't use, I'm sorry, Spencer, don't shoot me down, man, but I can't call my tenants residents because it sounds like when I say the sentence, Jerry Lyons is a 90-year-old resident of the local Oakwood care home, that's what it sounds like. So I want to call Jerry, what am I going to call you? A geriatric.
I scored a hat trick once for my school team, and the Willesden Bread Chronicle headline: Jerry Hat-trick Lyons.
Hey, so if you were talking to your customers though, you could go out and say to them, listen, you know, my fees are whatever it is, and we donate a percentage of that every month to charity. We'd encourage you, if you wanted to, you could also specify an amount that you'd like to give to our charity of the year, charity of the month, and you could, and it's a great way, I think, of encouraging further support and further donations. So actually, as a business, you're not just carrying the total weight of that charitable support. You've probably got more in your pot than you think.
Yeah, it's a great point you make as well. I know that Neil Wise over Ensign Brown, Hertfordshire way, they do it where, and I know lots of other agents do, but he springs to mind, where if you instruct them, they put a donation into the pot, and then people can also top that up if they want. I've heard people do a thing about 4 years ago, a community checkbook, where if you recommended someone, they give a checkbook, like printed up, so it looks like a checkbook, and £50 would be to you, but you'd also get a blank check, £50, make it out to the charity you want to make us to donate to, and we will donate it to them. So that you can get really creative.
It's fantastic. I don't think it's something that you can ever lose from it. It's what makes the world go round. These organizations, these individuals, they need your support, and if you want to be that linchpin of your community, and you want to be a good person as well, and you want to feel like it's not all about profits, and there is some people element there as well, I think integrating this into part of your business model, and it becomes part of your marketing as well, because when you go out and see people, they need to know, yes, you're professional, yes, you offer fantastic customer service, you've won an award from your gran for being your favorite grandson, and all that stuff that you think is important to those clients. But you can also state that you're an ethical, moral business with a conscience that supports their community, and you're willing to put a portion of what you earn directly on the line. And I think that is, how can that ever be wrong?
No, it's like, you've got to be a good business, like you have to be a well-run business and deliver a good product and service for all these things to happen. I'm not saying it's going to win you tons of instructions because you've got charity of the year, but it sure as shit ain't going to hurt. It's going to add a couple of percentage to your likability factor as a business.
Ladies and gentlemen at home and in your offices, who is going to be your charity of the year? How are you going to integrate charity and community support into what you offer? We'd love to hear your feedback as ever. Any questions that you've got, any comments, send them over to either Jerry or myself. You can catch me at david@kerfuffle.com. You can catch Jerry at your local hairdressers normally. Look at that fine head of hair. What are you doing this weekend, Jerry?
Netball. Netball, not me. Your daughter netball. And then Sunday I'm working. It's not just priests that work on a Sunday. It's content writers.
It is a holy mission that you're on anyway, to deliver fantastic, groundbreaking content to agents. Thank you for everything that you're doing to support us and to support our community of agents across the country. Jerry, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you same time next week, 12:30 Friday. You can rely on us because we deliver live-ish. Thanks for all your comments. Sorry, I've not been able to respond live. Right, Jerry. Ta-ra.